Howdy, everyone. I feel like shit. But I hope you're doing well, whenever you are. I'm sorry this is a late episode. This is a Friday when it's supposed to be a Thursday episode. But I, of course, am your host, your future favorite pop star, Landyn Zane. Woo, Landyn, yay. And this is your favorite podcast, as it will always be your favorite podcast. For the record. Yeah. Today is normally, so it's Thursday, so if you are a regular listener of the pod, you know Thursday episodes are normally Q&A episodes, but I feel, well, it's Friday anyways, so that's already out the window. But I thought today we would just kind of chill and talk because I feel awful. So we're just gonna ramble today. We're just gonna have a more slow, relaxed, chill episode today. I wanted to give y'all something I didn't want to skip. I knew this was gonna be late, and I didn't want to disappoint y'all and give you nothing. So I'm coming at you with this. Yeah. So you're probably wondering. You're probably not wondering, but I'm gonna tell you. Landyn, why do you feel terrible? What's wrong? What's going on that you feel not good? I don't feel sick. I feel in the brain, insane in the membrane, insane in the brain. Insane in the membrane, insane in the brain. And normally, when I record this podcast, I try to bring the energy, even if I'm not feeling the best or the most energetic. I try to bring the vibes, and I try to amp it up a little bit to bring the excitement for y'all. And usually, it's not that hard because I'm a very energetic person, just in my normal life. But like today has just been, especially, I don't know why. I'm in kind of one of those like self-loathing moods where I feel very, very not unmotivated, but I feel very like wondering. I can't remember the word, but I'm feeling like, what the hell am I doing? Like, why? Very insecure about everything I'm trying to do. And I know it happens every once in a while, maybe once a month. I don't know how often it happens, but I'm just in one of those moods where I'm like, what's the point of all of this? Of light. And I know it always goes away. But I hate these days. I fucking hate them because it happens every once in a while. And it's also about this time of the year, my anxiety, like summer starting and everything, my anxiety usually gets worse, which has also been happening. So it's just kind of all coming together of like the past few days have kind of just been like, what am I doing? And I know, and the funny thing is, I know how I felt, and I really did feel like that the last episode, like so excited, and it all kind of switched on a dime, which is the beautiful thing about having my personality, is that I could feel great one day, and the next day I feel like dog shit. It's the wonderful thing. But I don't know. I'm just in one of those moods. So we're just going to kind of chill. We're going to vibe. I'm going to vent. And we're going to talk about it. And, also, like, mental health is incredibly important to me. So, kind of give y'all oh, Lord. Sorry for the yawn. Kind of giving y'all more of an insight into my experiences with mental health anyways. I don't know. Like, part of me, I don't know what it is. And when I say that, I mean, I don't know what it is about this mood. It's just like, I want it so bad. It's impatience. It's a combination of like just, especially right now, this time of the year is always when my anxiety gets bad. For as long as I can remember, like end of May, most of June is around the period of the year when my anxiety is the worst. And like clockwork, it has happened. And I'm in it now. So, but it's a combination of that. And then like the impatience for me of, I want to be a musician and a pop star so bad. Being an entertainer and being a creative is all I've ever wanted in life. It is the only thing I've ever known I want to do, is be an entertainer and be a creative. And it just feels like sometimes I'm like, am I making progress? And I know I'm making progress. Like, I'm about to hit 1,000 followers on TikTok, which is nothing, but it's a huge milestone for me. And like, I'm going to act like I didn't hear that. I'm pretty sure those were gunshots, but we're just going to move on. Totally threw me off. I'm 90% sure those were gunshots. I wondered if you heard them. Well, if this comes out, then I'm not dead. But, oh shit, what was I saying? Totally lost my train of thought. Oh, but like my numbers are going up and the podcast is doing well, but my music, like my streaming numbers aren't going up. They're going down for like my music. And I haven't put a song out since, I've written down. My last single I put out April 26th, which doesn't seem that long ago. But it also, it also was like 6 weeks ago, 5 weeks ago, however long. And between that and like I know I haven't moved to I'm still thinking about those gunshots, guys. That totally threw me off. And I'm still hearing them. Hope, let's see. Any more? This is why I shouldn't record the podcast at night. Maybe they're not gunshots. Maybe they're fireworks. It's a little early for fireworks, though. Either way, I always say if you hear the gunshot, that means you didn't get hit with the bullet. I don't know if that's true or if that even makes sense, but that's always the joke I make. But like, I know the impatience I've been having, and most of the time it's easy for me, of like being patient about everything. But the other part of me sometimes is just like, why can't it happen now? Of like, so I just get tired sometimes of like grinding at this remote job and grinding at the podcast and grinding of like, and 99.9% of the time I love it. But then that 0.1% creeps into my mind, and then days like this happen. And I know, like, the thing that I don't want y'all to think is that I'm having doubts. I'm not. I know I've been around the block long enough with all of this, even though I'm only 21, to know that this passes. It always does, and it always will. But like every time it happens, I'm like, fuck, man, this is just, it's not fun. Like, I feel terrible, and I know there's nothing I can do about it until it passes. It's just, ugh. It sucks. And like, I don't want to do anything. Like, everything I want to do, I'm just like, nah, pass. And the thing for y'all, I want y'all to remember is like, I am I'm not going to be cocky because I really don't know, because I don't know everyone and I don't know what they do in their free time, but I'm doing about as much as I can most of the time to maximize my time and be efficient and be productive and focus on the podcast, focus on the music. And I've been slacking since I got back from LA a little bit, but I've also gotten some stuff done that's really exciting. And I'm trying to work on being productive. And also going back to the gym. I just started today. Going back to the gym, and I ate a yogurt before, and I decided to run there. And I worked out for like 20 minutes, and I literally I had to leave because I was like dry heaving, gagging, about to throw up by the time I got back here to my apartment because I felt so sick. But what was I saying? Oh, I'm incredibly motivated. But I don't want any of you to ever think, I know hardly anyone watches this podcast, but it's like, I'm going to stick with it anyways. And I'm going to act like no one and everyone watches it. I don't want you to ever think that you can't have moments of doubt. Just remember that they usually go away. Like, the reason I always get through these days and these moments of like, what's the point of all of it, is because I know they pass. I know it's just the way my brain and my process works, of like, sometimes I have days where I feel like garbage. And then usually a day or two later I wake up and it's like every other 350 some odd days of the year where I feel like $1,000,000. And I just have to get through these however many 12, 15, 16, however many days a year where I feel like garbage. And that's kind of part of it. And it's just like knowing I have to take care of myself and kind of like excuse me. The hardest thing for me is like during these moments, I've gotten to a place where I'm relatively okay with feeling like this because I know it will go away. The thing that I always beat myself up, and the thing I'm working on getting better at is, allowing myself to waste the time to get through this, because I know if I try to fight it and push through it, this feeling will only last longer, and anything I try to get done during this period won't happen. It won't happen, or it will be terrible. And I've learned that I have to allow myself to do nothing during these times, or nothing that is super productive, because I know it will only make things harder and make these periods last longer. And that's really, really hard for me. It was really hard for me because all I want to do is just like go, 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 because I can do that 99% of the time. I am fully capable of doing that. I could go of every moment I'm awake. If I was at 100%, I would be perfectly fine. It's just these days when I feel blah, I just need to let myself relax. And I hate that. Because if I had my choice, like I talked about it in the last episode, if the monetary thing wasn't a concern right now, every day of mine would look like wake up, gym, shower, dancing lessons, singing lessons, bass, piano, guitar, drum lessons, personal training again, or other lessons for performing, studio, repeat. Along with like the podcast, press, events, networking, connections. If I had it my way, and the money and the connections and the follower count of all of it or whatever wasn't part of it, I would be going 365 days of the year. I shouldn't say that. other than like holidays and major things and going to see my family. But when I'm working, I would be working every waking hour of the day because that's just the way I work. And I love doing this. But I hate the fact that right now I feel like I hate doing this. And I know I shouldn't even say I feel like that. I feel like I hate everything. I feel apathy, which is the worst feeling. If you've ever felt like just blah to the world, it's terrible. It's a horrible feeling. And that's how I feel right now. And it's just like I'm ready for it to pass because I know it will. So I'm just like ready to wash my hands of it. And also like I know like tomorrow's Friday, and also like Close to You by Gracie Abrams comes out. Please Please Me by Sabrina Carpenter. No, wait, it's Please Please Please. Please 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 by Sabrina Carpenter comes out. Brat by Charlie XCX comes out. There's a ton of new music. I think Biba Doobie's putting a new single out. There's new music tomorrow. I'm going to have stuff to talk about on next Monday's episode of the podcast. I have a single that, like, I put the demo on Instagram, and I went live when I was working on it. On TikTok, I went live, and I'm, like, super, super, super excited for how it's turning out. And I'm starting to, like, get back in the groove of things, and, like, slowly but surely, like, I'm becoming more financially stable in LA and actually being able to build up savings, other than the fact that they told me I need new shocks and struts in my car when I got my oil changed today, which is fucking expensive. So, like, things are slowly getting better, slowly but surely, and, like, they're slowly growing. And I know, and the thing about my Spotify and my music numbers is, like, they were never that high in the first place. So, like, the next step for me should be, I know that, and the thing I know is I know exactly, like, once this feeling passes, I know exactly what I need to do to get ahead of everything and get everything to pass so I can work on the things I want to be working on. And not be late for a podcast episode, not be behind on clips, or not feel like I'm wasting time. Like, I know what I have to do. And I will tell you guys exactly what it is. I know that once I feel like I'm not feeling like garbage, the next things I have to do are, I'm behind on clips. If I sit down for 3 or 4 hours and literally bang out clips, I can have all the clips done for every episode of the pod, and I can be up to date. And then, or what I should do first is I should film, like tomorrow or whenever I feel better, I should film 3 episodes of the podcast. Just go boom, boom, boom. And do next week's 2 episodes, and then like maybe next week's Thursday episode, or even a Monday episode. Like, get 2 or 3 out of the way, and then do the clips from every podcast I'm behind on, and then get ahead on clips too, so I can have stuff uploaded and stuff ready to go. Then I have the main stress and the main time-consuming thing out of the way in terms of content, which allows me to take a step back, and then I can work on new music. Then I can work on other avenues of content that I want to make, and ideas that I have that I think I'm really excited about. I've just not had the motivation, or I've always felt like I had something more important to do in the moment that wasn't allowing me to explore these other ideas I've had. And like, I've been talking about releasing merch for since February. It's like end of February, beginning of March. Let me see, when did Perfume come out? Perfume came out March 8th. So yeah, it was maybe it was mid-March. But I just it's a pain in the ass. Oh man. This is either a no shit statement, or this is something I feel like my parents would have told me years ago. In the second, now that I say it, I'm like, son of a bitch, they were right. I know exactly what I need to do to get everything in order. I know exactly what it is. I know every bit. And I know I have the roadmap in front of me of like, if I do this one day and I do this the next day and I do this and I don't falter and I don't make one mistake and I don't do any of it, I know if I nail every bit of that and then I repeat it, it will work. And in this moment, I want to do nothing. The good thing is that talking about this, and even though I'm talking to a camera and into a microphone and to a wall and to nobody, I still know this is making me feel a bit better about it. Of like allowing myself this moment to like be self-loathing and to be very like self-pitying and like poor me. Like, oh, poor me, poor Landyn. Like, I've got it so hard. Because I know this will pass. And even in the back of my head now, I know it's going to go away. And I also understand that, like, these problems are not, like, they're important. And they matter. And acknowledging that and trying to process that is important. But looking at the grand scope of things in the world, they still mean, like, I still have it very good. So always trying to keep that in mind too. But oh God, like talking about this does make me feel better, which is good. And like, I don't know. Oh, God, LA tap water tastes fucking terrible. It's disgusting. I don't know, like, it's like somebody is outside of like right where the pipe goes and they have a dirty shoe that they stepped in dog shit and they're literally running all the water that is coming out of that faucet. And it's not just this faucet, it's all of them. It's like dog shit is run through the water before it comes out of the tap because it tastes terrible. I need to buy a Brita or a water jug purifier I can put in the fridge because this water is disgusting. But just like, I think the thing I've realized is that eventually when I'm able to afford all of the things that I want to do and have the schedule I want of like getting all the practice in and doing everything and really working, being able to afford to work towards truly being a pop star, I'm going to have somebody like kicking my ass in gear to do it. Of like, Landyn, you need to be here at this time. You need to do this at this time. You need to do this at this time. Like I need to have somebody setting the schedule for me because that will help me be more boom, 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 boom. Because I'm so not organized and I'm pretty good at getting stuff done for how like horribly, horribly severe my ADHD is and how like unorganized I am overall in my life. I always say, like, I'm an organized mess, but I'm still a mess. Like, I've got everything that I'm trying to do, I have organized, but it's still a fucking mess. And, like, if that makes any sense, I don't know if that does, but, like, once things really start moving and I have other people that can help me, it's going to be really nice to have somebody that's like, Landyn, you need to do this at this time. You need to be there at this time. Because then it's out of my hands. Then I don't have an option to, like, not do. Oh, shit. I knocked my lotion over. It was Bath & Body Works hand lotion because I'm starting to my hands are getting dry. Like, my elbows. But, like, not that kind of lotion. Get your head out of the gutter. But like taking the option to do nothing out of my hands is really going to help me. I don't really know. Like I always try to look back and be like, what do I do? What do I usually do in these situations that is not good for me? It is good for me in the long run. That usually helps me feel better. And what do I do that is self-loathing that usually makes me feel worse? Talking about it always helps. Either just with myself, with friends, with family, therapy, whatever. Buying one thing I do that is horribly, horribly not good for me, that I will I will confess I did do this today, is I'll usually go and buy sugar and just binge and eat it all, which is horrible for me. And I never, especially lately, like I'm getting really, really strict with my diet because I know, like instead of chips and stuff, like I've started eating hummus and carrots and like cashews and nuts and things that are like healthy for me, and trying to like cook more and make more healthy meals and eating a lot of yogurt. But like, and then also like just eating sugar. It is not a good coping mechanism. It is horribly not good for me. And I'm really trying to stop doing that. But I did do it today. So still working on it. But like, also, I apologize that I keep yawning. I also enjoy how this episode is just like incredibly personal and like not even personal, like very deep and very not down, but very much more relaxed and much more honest and an open conversation. And everything else is usually just me like yelling at the camera and screaming and dancing and stuff. So like Shrek and like onions, I have layers like an ogre in an onion. But yeah, like I don't normally, I don't know what else to say about it. I guess the thing that usually helps is just talking through things and kind of repeating myself until I find other ways to go into it. And that helped me process it within myself. Like we can go back to the patience thing of like, I'm 21. I had that conversation with a friend, I'm not going to say where, but I was having a conversation with somebody, and he was like, I've been struggling with patience of like, I know it takes time, but he's like, we're not going to be young forever. And I just told him, I was like, look, dude, I'm not worried about patience. Like, we're going to be 100 with modern science and with everything. We're going to be 120 years old easily. So like, I'm not worried about doing something by the time I'm this age. But there's always this part of me that's still like, yeah, but it would be really nice if it was sooner rather than later. And I'm still okay with being patient, but like, there's always going to be that part of me that's like, yeah, but I kind of want it to happen tomorrow, which is annoying. And I don't necessarily think that, like, I think wanting things sooner rather than later is kind of this natural impatience we have because of, I wouldn't even say it's because of social media or anything, or because of, I think it's just because of the world we live in, because everything is so fast. Amazon takes 2 days. Social media, anything you want is only a swipe away. So we've become less patient, in my opinion. But like, I think I'm okay with waiting for however long it takes, because there's really nothing else I want to do. But the other part of me is just like, man, it could be tomorrow. Like, if I wouldn't mind if it was tomorrow. Especially on days like this of like feeling self-loathing, where I'm like, this isn't fair. And like being super self-pitying of like, this isn't fair. I didn't get this. this didn't happen. I wasn't born with people that know these people that have this. I'm not the cousin of somebody who could do this for me. I didn't like all of it. On days like this, I go through all of it. I go through every stage of like it's their fault. It's not my fault. I've been doing this. I've been working my ass off. I've been this and that and the other. And then I get through it. And I'm just kind of like the bitterness that I know is toxic. Like there's nothing healthy about being bitter and being self-loathing and feeling sorry for yourself and feeling like a victim. There's nothing healthy about it, and it's not a good thing. And this, I always try to fight it. And when I get through it, I'm always like, you can only the thing I always try to tell myself is like, you can only play the hand that you're dealt. And just because somebody got dealt a better hand than you doesn't mean you can't win the game. You're going to have to work a lot harder. And those people may be able to slack for a bit. But if you're strategic and you work your ass off and you do everything you can win the game. If you can't win the game, at the end of the night, after every game, you can definitely win that. So you may not be able to win the one game, but after a while, you can kind of stack up wins and you can play your cards right through the night. And by the end of the night, when it's all over, you can win the night. And that's kind of how I always look at life, I was born in middle of nowhere, Iowa. I have effectively no connections that I haven't made myself in music. Not effectively. I have no connections in the music industry that are not ones I have made myself since moving out here. I was not given any money other than like my mom buying me groceries, my dad sending me money once or twice, and then like Christmas and birthday money that I was saving before I moved out here so I could have money to actually like move to LA. I was not given anything. My parents didn't run some equity thing and like do this for me and then do that, and like there was none of it. And instead of like being bitter and like being like those people had it easier, just like it's the way life is. Tough shit, Landyn. Goes on either way. I do feel better. That's the thing of like, even if I can urge any of you listening that ever struggle with any of mental health or feeling pity or anything, being bitter, just like get in the habit of talking. Don't sit with it. That's the thing. I probably do it to a fault at this point because I'm so hyperactive of don't sit with any emotion and let it stew and not process it. Like I sit with emotions a lot, but I always am trying to work through them and get down to the root of them of like, where's it coming from? And it almost always, even if I'm talking to myself and working through it in my head and having conversations in my head of like, why did it happen? What caused it? All of it. Breaking it down into as little detail and fine detail as I can. Almost always does that help. Almost always. Because it helps me process all of it and get through it all, and really like it helps me step away and look at it objectively outside of myself of like this, of looking at it on paper. Because when you're really in an emotion and when I'm doing it by myself and like trying to work through something that happened before, it is a lot easier of like being able to step back and look at something from an outside point of view, like somebody's watching it on a movie or however you want to look at it. And that always helps me process everything of like, this is why this happened and this is what is really important. But the hard thing for me is... Shit, what was I talking about? The hard thing for me is in the moment when I'm having conflict or conversations with people, of really trying to look at something and step back from that perspective. It's a lot harder in the moment because there's another person involved. It's much more conversational. There's a lot more energy and dynamics going on, because when it's all in your head, it's a lot easier. I don't know why I started talking about that. Well, where did I come from with that? I totally forgot. Oh, I remember. I know why. Because I was talking about being able to step back and look at your life and just processing emotions, positive and negative, to figure out if it's negative, why it happened, and what you can do in the future to either not let those emotions happen, or when they do happen, how to process them, and positive emotions, how to replicate situations and things to make them happen again. And I think it's very important. It is one of the healthiest habits I've developed for my mental health, and especially with how ADHD and hyperactive my brain is. Literally every moment I'm awake, it's on. It's become the best habit I've developed for myself. Very likely the best habit, or one of, to help me process everything that's always going on. Especially since, like, I talked about this when I was in Iowa with my family, of like, I feel like I moved to LA 10 years ago. I've only been here for 5 months. And it feels like it feels like so long ago that I moved to LA, because I have grown so much. My life has changed so much. Like the scared kid I was when I moved here, and trust me, I'm still working through a lot of that and like figuring it all out. I'm clearly, if this has proven anything, I'm far from perfect. And I never will be, which is another thing always have to come to grips with, and am trying to like be okay with, is that I'm never going to be perfect. But the amount of growth I've gone through, even in the 5-month period of living in LA and having to like rough it and fully be an adult and do everything I can to survive, it feels like I've gone through so much in that period, because I have. And the other thing that is very important for me to do, that is, I am self-admittedly, like, in a not a good way, I'm terrible at doing it. But giving myself credit where credit is due. I'm horrible at doing it. I'm not good at it. It's it's one of my biggest faults, is acknowledging how proud of myself I should be sometimes. Of like, in the span of 5 months, like 6 months ago, I had never lived on my own, never really paid rent or bills or anything on my own, never had to worry about food, it's never been just me stopping me from homelessness. But I had also never fully chased my dreams. I had never been in and around the entertainment and music industry. I've never actively told people that my primary thing is that I'm a musician and an artist. And then in the span of a week, I went from living in LA, I packed everything in a car. Or I went from living in Iowa, I packed everything I owned, and I moved to LA. I started figuring out how to do it, and in the span of 5 months, I've slowly but surely been figuring it out, and I've really grown a lot. And I've really, especially on days like this, I have to be really cognizant and remind myself, like, I should be proud of how much I've done. Most people have the dream and never do it. And in 5 months, I've done all of it on my own for the most part, other than like making friends and like going on the vacation in Iowa and Florida. For the most part, done it on my own. I started a podcast that is doing really well. Then for my standards, from growing from zero, that is doing really well from what I consider. I've built relatively sustainable content for social media, and I'm still working on that. And the next thing I'm really starting to work on is having consistent music to release, and really working on making content and finding ways to promote it and build an audience on social media. And then the next step after that is performing. And most people I know, not like most people I know, but just in general, I'm very aware that for most people it takes them years to do all that. And in the span of 5 months, I've done what a lot of people take years to do. And I have to be very, very proud of myself for I always tell people, my favorite thing to tell people is that I'm working my dick off, because it's so funny. It's so dumb, but it's super true. Of I want it so bad. And I have to regularly remind myself sometimes of be proud of yourself, Landyn. Because I'm always worried that I'm too braggadocious and too over the top and too braggy and too it seems like I have too big of an ego. And I know I can come off like that just because it's my personality. Especially when I'm super energetic and super loud, it seems like I have a huge ego. And I always try to be aware of that and go into things and be humble and not always try to downplay things and be humble about things. And which I think is a good thing to have. And especially growing up in the Midwest, in the areas of just just do your job, be great at your job, don't expect anything from it. It's kind of that mindset in general for everything. So a big part that I've struggled with is always giving myself credit where it's due. And it's really hard for me. But I should be very proud of myself. And I am. And I know internally, even now, I'm still sitting here and beating myself up of yeah, I could be proud, but there's this stuff I haven't done. I should have done this. I could have done this better. But I'm really trying to work on just being be proud of yourself and still know that you can improve. Separating those two things is really, really hard for me. Yeah, I don't know. This was, I feel like I should be sending y'all a copay for this one, because this was just me venting and just a therapy session. This wasn't even a Q&A episode. This was just me talking about anxiety and mental health stuff, which I guess works. Whatever works. Got y'all an episode. I hope you enjoyed it, or I do. This is definitely a change of pace from every other episode the podcast has had. So let me know if y'all enjoyed it. And also, I don't think I've mentioned it before, but if you like the podcast, if you listen to it, if you like the audio, or you watch the video on YouTube or anything, or check out my music. If you like if you like hanging out with me, you like the podcast, you like the vibe. Obviously, this episode's different. But if you like any of it, stream my music. Landyn Zane on Spotify and all that. It's like synth pop. If you like that stuff, share the podcast with your friends or anyone you think would like it. Send your questions in if you want to be on the podcast. Send me a DM, and then you can send me questions, and I'll answer your questions on the podcast. Yeah, but I'm glad I got this out for y'all. I do feel a bit better, and yeah, it's just kind of is what it is. But as always, I have been your future favorite pop star, Landyn Zane. And this, as it will always be, is for the record. Have a good night. Have a good weekend, because it's Friday, because this episode's late. Bye.